Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Sarah. I'm an artist, entrepreneur, and Amazon bestselling author. For those of you who don't know me, I work with people and help them process emotions through art and self-development. I am so excited to share with you a special guest that I have today, Kristie Matoon. Her and I have been lifelong friends. We've known each other, since about 7th grade, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we recently reconnected, and it's just been such a blessing because, there's some people who you meet in your life who, have similar journeys, but it's very rare to have somebody who has known you for so long. It's just been such a blessing and encouragement, and just wanted to highlight some special things that Kristie has done. She has accomplished a lot. Last year, she was identified as Realtor of the Year for the state of Idaho.
Not the state, just my county. Sorry, my county.
Realtor of the Year for Latah County in Idaho. She is also on the National Association for Realtors, the Risk Management Committee for the United States, which is an amazing accomplishment. Great job. Not only that, Kristie is a certified personal trainer, a certified health and wellness trainer. She is currently doing HIIT and spin classes, and Kristie has such a wealth of knowledge to offer today. But for my audience, I really want to touch base on her health journey, and would just love to glean your experience and your expertise for anybody. Is there anything you want to add to that, Kristie?
No, that's pretty much it. It's been a journey. I've been a personal trainer and group certified instructor for 10 years, and then a certified wellness coach for almost a year. So all that goes hand in hand. And I was always a decently fit person. I played 3 sports a year in high school. I continued amateur sports in college, and always wanted to make sure I was eating well and moving my body and all of those things. And then I got pregnant, and then I decided that would be the time when I'm growing a human being inside of me to have a free-for-all and eat in the most ridiculous way I ever have in my whole life. Well, pregnant. Yeah, the logic there is lost on me too, but nonetheless, it's what happened. And I gained 50 pounds with the first baby, which is not unusual. But those 50 pounds were not very healthy ones, and had a really healthy, easy home birth, so can't complain about that. And then getting back on a really good track after birth was really, really hard. Had 2 miscarriages between the 4th successful pregnancy of my son, and after having, I think I lost around 20 of the 50 pounds, I gained another 50. And the week before I gave birth to him, another easy, successful home birth. So it's like I was healthy in spite of my decisions. So that did not reinforce anything good. I weighed 210 pounds, and I've never been a small girl. I'm almost 5'10", but that's like, oh wow. So you're taking care of 2 babies, and you're bigger than you've ever been, and nothing fits, nothing looks right. You don't want pictures of yourself. It's all very difficult and demeaning and demoralizing, mostly me to myself. And it took a change in the real estate market, because my husband at the time, the kids' dad, needed real estate market took a dive, and we were making so much less money that we were actually really struggling. So I had to get a job. So I got a job waiting tables at a really nice restaurant in Las Vegas, and had to bring in some money. Well, the running of that and the fact that I wasn't home eating whatever the kids weren't eating, or eating with them or whatever, my uniform started to fit differently. So it was almost by default, unfortunately and fortunately. It wasn't an aha moment. What everybody knows is positive results circle into positive results. and we're all spiraling downward or spiraling upward. Status quo doesn't really exist. So with those changes, I then automatically started making better choices in eating. And then I actually took on running for 3 years, which I will never run again. But so kudos to you runners. But if I'm running, then please kill whatever's chasing me, because I'm not a runner. But it perpetuated good and better choices. Now, things have always done this, but instead of doing this, never this, but instead of this, it's just kind of the couple pounds here, the couple pounds here. It's just been a much more normal ride. And of course, we women with our hormones and with our aging and with our fertility and with or lack of fertility and all the things that impact our health, it affects our mental health. It affects how much water we're retaining that day. I swear there's not one day in the month that I actually know how much I really weigh, just because of all those variables and factors. And here's the deal. If my pants fit, I try to let that be enough. So right there with everybody as far as the discouraging factors. However, in 2010, we were moved across the country. In 2011, I made some, 2010 started making the changes. 2011 went on a Whole30 diet with my stepmom, who was having some health issues. And lo and behold, you pay attention to what you put in your mouth and your body responds. I mean, it's not rocket science, people. We all know this. This is what gets in our way. And this is what controls this. So in 2012, after I had lost, I don't even remember, gosh, it was about 35, 40 pounds. I said, well, I want to become a trainer, because I know my story is so many people's story that I want to help others do this. And I think that it speaks better as a mom to other moms having struggled. I'm not this 24-year-old little Barbie doll. Oh, just do this and you can be fit. Not that there isn't credence to the 24-year-old Barbie dolls, but I really felt like there was a niche of women who needed to be reached. And so that started my journey 10 years ago, being certified and teaching kickboxing, and they have all sorts of names. I've taught every class under the sun and enjoyed every minute of it in all 3 states that I've lived in, and now in Idaho, adding the 4th state, teaching high intensity interval training and spin. And what it does is help me keep me accountable, and I feed off of the energy of the others in my class, because I get paid to be there. Otherwise, there are days I wouldn't be there. And I love feeding off of each other. And I love the days where I tell them, hey, listen, I'm not fully up to par today for whatever reason. So it's okay if you're not. Here's my offering. You do this workout the way that your body is going to allow you to today. And there's lots of room in my class for modifications. There's lots of room. There should be lots of room in life for modifications. And I really hope that I've created a space for women and men to come be themselves for that moment in that day, and to possibly surprise themselves, because there are people who see the workout and say, this is what I need to do because it's written down. So I give permission for them to pay attention to their bodies, back off if they need to, add a little more if they need to, completely up to them. And if they are at a place with someone in front of them and other people around them doing these challenging things, you don't know how many times people have come up to me and said, I didn't think I could do this workout. And not only did I do it, but I did it all. Awesome. And I said, well, I knew you could. And it's just the business of people, and the people that you can impact positively, I think, is a longer list than anybody realizes. And every journey starts somewhere. And so when I have someone that comes into my class who's incredibly deconditioned and incredibly scared, well, first of all, they took the brave step of even coming to the gym that day and coming to a class where they know, excuse me, they know nobody, they don't know me. And I try to offer them and congratulate them just for even being there. And if they can do half the workout, if they can do a fourth of the workout, if they need to rest every other rep, whatever the case may be, I'm constantly looking to encourage them, because our journey does have to start, and our journeys can all start for our health through tragedy, through inspiration, through some sort of motivation that's finally found, through any number of circumstances. And that is all that's important, is what starts the journey. Continuing the journey sometimes has to be an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly decision, because the chocolate that's always at my office always seems to find its way into my pocket, and then my mouth. So it's never figured out. It's a journey. It's never done. And just because I'm a trainer doesn't mean I'm the healthiest that I can be. Just because I'm a trainer doesn't mean that I can outwork out my bad diet or my poor choices. Just because I have 10 years of experience doesn't mean that I don't have people in my class where I'm like, oh wow, to be able to jump like that, or to squat like that, or to, clean and jerk like that, whatever the case may be. There's always someone that you want to be like, and there's always those that want to be like you. Don't forget that even in your failures, people are watching you fail forward. They're watching you get up, and it's not your responsibility to take others with you. And yet I feel the responsibility to lift up anybody and everyone around me, because there were times where I needed that and didn't have it. That is the best synopsis I can come up with as far as the journey in a nutshell. But I'm happy to answer any specific questions, or if I covered it, whatever you want, Sarah.
Wow. I mean, I'm just so encouraged and inspired by you. And I had no idea some of those details that you shared today. And, I love the fact that you are so positive, and the key is mindset, right? And I just love some of the encouragement that you shared with us. Are there any more details or any more mindset tools or techniques that you could share with somebody who is that mom who's like where you were at their highest weight, and they just don't know what to do or where to start, and they're just discouraged about where they're at? And what can you share? What's your advice for that person?
Absolutely. So first of all, science is science. Calorie output, calorie intake is literally, as well as the balance of your macro, your protein, your carbs, and your fat. The science of that helps you lose weight, helps you maintain weight, and helps you gain weight. So the science is there. Being on a program that's led by someone that's familiar with that, so you have an outline of what you're doing, is really helpful. But you're motivated on Monday, I'm doing this. And then Tuesday comes around, okay, I'm doing this. Wednesday comes around and you're like, where's the chocolate? I'm not a coffee girl, but where's the fancy coffee? Where's the whatever? And our habits. So my best advice is, because here is where weight loss happens and stays. The science our body responds to, but our brain, why we do things, what are our patterns, what are positive patterns, negative patterns, what can we focus on, and how can we stop ourselves from falling off the edge? How can you start? One small change. So let's say you have XYZ for breakfast every morning. Find someone, there's the internet, there's coaches, there's nutritionists, there's people around. This is what I'm gonna eat for breakfast. Even if nothing else changes during the day, I'm gonna start my day with a well-balanced way to start my day, to break my fast of sleeping and not eating, and give my body what it needs, even if it's just breakfast. And you do that for 2 weeks, and you see how good that feels. You will be surprised at what you're already doing, even though you're only focusing on that one small thing. And the one small thing becomes 4 small things, and then it becomes 10 small things. And the next thing you know, you are just living your life differently. You don't need to make 100 changes at once, because we as humans don't do that very well at all. And when you see the posts on all the social media of abs showing and muscles, and there's no cellulite or fat on anyone, that's not real life. So I'm here to say we all need a little fat, we all need a little cellulite, we all need a little pudge, we all need a little pinch, because anything else is actually not real life and it's not sustainable. So talk to someone. What are sustainable goals for you? Ask for help, because you're not alone, and that one small change will flourish. If you are ready and down to business, ready to explore in your own mind, in your own heart, in your own soul, why do I do this stuff? And 10 times out of 10 and a half, it's emotional. And we, especially as Americans, have these emotional responses that have to do with wine and indulgent food and alcohol, and sometimes even recreational drugs. So that is, anything in excess is a bad thing. So why do we do what we do? So it's so simple, but it is so not easy. And those are my words for every client that I train, is that this is simple. It makes sense because it's almost like a math formula, and math is reliable and math is the same throughout the universe. But you are an individual, you are special, you are different. So what makes you tick? Because the math is going to work. So let's get into your head and figure out, and that's hard work, to figure out the whys of things. And sometimes people are only ready to go to a certain level. That's okay. A start is a start. But doing it alone is just about impossible. So there are lots of providers out there to ask for help and guidance. And gosh, it just makes me want to make everything that I do into this little statement, which obviously you can tell is hard for me to do, but there are people there to help you. You are simply not alone. You are not the only person that feels so stuck in what they're doing. You really, really aren't. And I'm proof of it, and Sarah is proof of it, and 10 other people that I can think of off the top of my head are proof of that. So please believe me and ask.
I love it, Kristie. Thank you. Something that you brought up is we are infiltrated in today's society with Instagram models and people in Hollywood, and like you said, all the ads are geared towards, in my opinion, fake news. And what do you say to the woman or the guy who is constantly seeing those types of things? And the body image, what's your advice on that, and how can you encourage us to just focus on being an individual, or what wisdom do you have for that?
Oh boy, I struggle with that myself. I'm a reluctant member of social media, but can get caught up in that as well. I think that avoiding it, if at all possible. So if it's your choice to indulge in social media, regiment yourself so you're not exposed to as many of those things. And the harsh truth is, which I'm known to give, is that genetically not everyone can look like Giselle. Not everyone can look like the who are the brothers that do all the Marvel movies? Thor. Yeah. Can't remember his name. They're genetically blessed people, and we all have to deal with what our genetics are, and accepting that this social media person image, it's hard to get that out of your head. And self-acceptance, self-love, emotionally understanding why we do what we do, as I was saying before, you need help doing this. This is not something that individuals are very successful at on their own, because we are made to connect with people. And if you go talk to 20 people today, 19 of them you're gonna have something in common with, and you're gonna be like, I didn't know, wow, and you're gonna feel that bond with someone. And that 20th person is gonna be with somebody else, or something else that you have something in common with. But you would be surprised how alone people feel. You would be surprised at how they think that I should just be able to do this on my own, and that people think of these 20 people, all of them really have it figured out. None of us do. And social media needs to be seen for what it is. And it's so much easier said than done. So the hard work and the exercise of looking in the mirror every day naked, and saying, I think Sarah did this, and I read a recent article about someone else doing this. I love myself. I love myself. And you're looking at your whole self. You were made in a way that is unique and that has a purpose and a contribution for this world. And if it doesn't look the way that you want it to, there is some we can do about that, but there is also things we can't do about that. And acceptance is what it takes for right where you are. And then the change can happen, because without acceptance, you're trying to change things that you're running up against a wall. So pure acceptance, I read this recently, of what you are, where you're at, and the paradox of that acceptance. You're accepting yourself the way you don't want to be. Full acceptance of that opens the door for you to make changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and when I read that, I was like, oh dear, people need to know this. So I have no quick fix, because there isn't one. It's a constant battle, journey, learning avenue that is endless. It really, really is. And that can be daunting for some people. That's why you start with one thing. That's why you put away the social media. That's why you look in the mirror and say, this is who I am. What do I love about myself? Because I can guarantee you, there's a lot of things.
That's beautiful. And yeah, one of the reasons why I asked is because that's something I struggle with, and it's hard for me. I've battled with self-image, and I've battled with just accepting and loving myself at the core. And once I was able to really start truly loving myself, all my flaws and all my mistakes and all the things that I've done wrong, that has been life-changing for me. And I did that exercise that you shared, where I looked in the mirror set a timer for 5 minutes and just said, I love you, I love you. And I remember the first few days that I did it, and I just bawled and I just started crying. And it's just hard because, I think there's so much around the advertisements and the way the world is viewed, because it's a money-making thing, right?
Yeah.
How much money do people make on beauty products, or even diets and all kinds of stuff? And it's unfortunately that thing that advertisers and those in the media, that they know that. And so they get that in your mind. And so it's a battle, and you just gotta find what is good about you, just like you said, and try to glean from that and make those baby steps. So
absolutely. The last thing, I've told my kids from the time they could understand English, which was probably earlier than I really thought they could, you have to look in the mirror at who you are, and you have to decide who you are. I can't do that for you. I am like the biggest control freak you're ever going to meet. And when my kids were born, I went, oh my gosh, these are individuals. They get to decide. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with that? You have to decide who you want to be. When you see yourself in the mirror, not only what do you want to present to the world, but what is your character? What is your heart? Who are you? And I think you cried, and we all cry when we do this exercise, because we realize the depth at which we have been fighting ourselves, and the depth at which we have been ignoring and pushing away, and the depth at which we are mourning the fact that we have not accepted anything about ourselves, when there's so much worthiness and acceptfulness. And if you're not doing that for yourself, I'm not sure you're really doing that for anybody else. So looking in the mirror and saying, who am I? Who do I want to be? I get to decide. Looking at the mirror and saying, it's okay that I haven't accepted that so far, and to mourn that, and to then grow into that 5 minutes of saying, I love you. And you end with a smile on your face instead of sadness. But it takes work. It takes work. And I'm here to tell you that it's not easy. It is simple, but it's not easy.
Love that. Thank you so much. Just like one more question, a couple more questions that come to mind. There's so much that has happened in your life. You're such a strong woman in so many ways, we don't necessarily have time to go into all that, but I know courage is the center of core of who you are, and I would love, what is your definition of courage?
Oh goodness. Courage to me is the hard path that you have no idea what's around the corner, but knowing that's your direction and going anyway. So there's a faith and a trust in yourself, in God for me, and it's doing it even though it hurts, and doing it even though it's hard, and doing it even though you don't know. I mean, control freak central here. If I don't know what's around the corner, but that's not life. So when I had to be more courageous than I ever had, it was taking a step out in a place that was so uncomfortable and so scary that I literally would shake. I had a shaking condition for months after my divorce because I was just terrified of life. And one day I just said, this is ridiculous. And I had to be more courageous than my fear.
Beautiful. Well, I just want to take a moment and honor you for that. It's just such a blessing to know you and call you friend, and
ditto.
Thank you. You're a huge inspiration to many people. How can we support you? What can we do to help encourage you, support you in any way? Find your classes? How can we find out more about you?
Oh goodness, I have no idea. I'm on the Facebook, and I live in Moscow, and I love my community, and the best way to support me is feel free to reach out, of course. But for those who aren't into that, find a way to support yourself in one way this week and see how that feels, and report it back on the My Courageous page, because Sarah is doing this amazing thing, putting herself out there. And excuse me, the more we share with each other, the more we always find how we're more alike than we are different. And that feels like a connection, because it is. And you are providing that avenue.
Thank you, Kristie. Yeah. For anybody who's listening who has found value in this, who has just been touched, Kristie and I would love any comments you have below this video. We're going to be posting it on my YouTube channel, My Courageous Masterpiece YouTube. There's also more information. Connect with us on Facebook at My Courageous Masterpiece Facebook group. Kristie is in there with me, and we would just love to support you on your courageous journey. So thank you so much, Kristie. It's just been an honor meeting with you today, and just getting some more of your wisdom and expertise. And I just have so much respect for you and your journey, and love you so much.
Likewise, lady. Love you so much.